Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session. Just to recap, we started with the CSS cascading style sheet, and CSS is used for styling the HTML document. So CSS will take care of the presentation, how the presentation has to be done on the particular browser, or you can say appearance, how each of the HTML element will appear on web browser. That is taken care by the CSS. And simple syntax, we know there will be a selector, and after that space, a pair of curly braces. Inside that we will have the declaration. Declarations are separated by the semicolon. Declaration ends with a semicolon, and we can have number of declarations inside this pair of curly braces, and that is called as a declaration block. And declaration is nothing but a property colon value. So, and for example, we have a EM is a HTML element, selector is any HTML element, or list of, if you want to use multiple HTML elements, you can use multiple separated by the comma. Then here we will have the property for that particular element. There are list of properties will be there, and for that we will have the value followed by a colon. Okay, selectors, what can be the selector? We looked into that. So it can be HTML elements, or a set of HTML elements. Then we will also see there is a class and ID we can use. And properties, there are different properties that are defined. We looked into this in the previous class. These are the different property types and the property, and each of these property will be having the values. And the value, there are certain predefined values, and how to find those predefined values, they are available in the CSS standards. And for some we have the absolute value, and some for the there is a relative values will be there. For the color, it can be represented either as a name, like for example red, blue, whatever the color. In textual name, it can be represented as a RGB color combination, red, green and blue combination. It can be represented as a hexadecimal number, and it can be represented as a RGBA, where A stands for alpha or the transparency, and it can be represented as a HSL, that is hue, saturation and light values. Units of measurement, there are relative units and absolute units. These are the all are the examples of the relative units, except the px, that is pixel. In case of a CSS2, it will be a relative. In case of a CSS3, it's an absolute value. And relative, we understand these values are with relation to its parent. Okay, if the particular HTML unit is used as a relative unit, that will its size will depend on the what is the size of the parent. So it is relative to the parent. Let us say if you set as a 50%, then it will be 50% of the parent block. And absolute units, these are the absolute units, these are the fixed values. It will not change. Whatever the value you provide, it will be used exactly. Okay. How to use comments in CSS? This is the /**, then you can have all the comment, and that comment is closed using a asterisk and a /. Location of the styles, there are three different types of style sheets: author created style sheet, user style sheets and the browser style sheets. So browser style sheets, as I told, every HTML element, every browser, it has its own default presentation, and where we can include the CSS rules in our web application. There are three different places we can include. One is the inline. Meaning of the inline is whatever the HTML elements that we want to paint, we can include the style inside that particular HTML element. Then second one is embedded. Instead of using at the HTML element level, we can use the head section. HTML document has a head section. Inside the head section, we can include the all the styles. That is called as a embedded style. Then the third one is the external. In case of a external, we are going to use an external file. That particular file will have all the styles defined, all the CSS rules defined, and that file will be having a extension of .css, and that file is separate from the HTML document, and inside the HTML document we will provide a link to that particular file. So this is the most preferred way of including the CSS. The reason being, we can keep the HTML document structure apart from the presentation layer. So if there is anything related with the appearance, you can directly go and change it in the CSS file, and that is kept separate from the structure of the document, that is HTML file. And you can use the combination of this as well. So in particular web application, you can have inline, embedded, external, all the three, or just two. Any combination can be used. The first one is the inline style. When you are using the inline style, we will have a open angle bracket h2. This should not be there. Closing angle bracket. Then we will have the style. Okay, and style is equal to. Then inside that you will have the property and value. In this case, we have font hyphen size colon 24 pt, double quotes and closing angle bracket. Similarly, h2 style is equal to, we have two properties set here. Okay, semicolon is also missing here. I told you the modern browsers are forgiving. Even if you miss something, it might correct itself. It will show the correct representation, but we must follow the exact syntax rules, so that in every browser it will work. Some of the browser it might work. If there is any mistake in the syntax rule, it might work in some of the browsers. It may not work in some other browsers. So we have to make sure that the rules are correctly, the syntax is correctly specified or used. Now h2, then we will not have closing angle bracket. We will have the closing bracket after the specification of the style. So style is equal to, inside the two double quotes, I have two styles specified. One is the font size as 24 point, and font weight as bold. And I have shown one example for that inline. This is the CSS example, open with Notepad. Also, I will open this particular HTML in the browser. This is the CSS example. This is how it will look like. So you can see here, just you can compare this presentation with the HTML document, doc type HTML, then HTML tag. Inside the HTML, we will have head and body. Here I just have the body. Inside the body, I have h1, share your travels. You can see share your travels. It is represented, or the appearance is by the default style of the browser. So this is how the Chrome browser displays the h1 HTML element. And h2, this is the h2. Then space style is equal to font size 20 pt, and ends with a semicolon and double quotes inside the double quotes, and closing angle bracket. Then we have some kind of a content or the description. Okay, this description is displayed onto the browser. Then closing h2 HTML tag. Then we next have the one more h2 style is equal to, inside the two double quotes, we are setting three fonts here, three properties here. Font hyphen size as 34 pt, font hyphen weight is equal to bold, and color colon as red. Suppose if you want to change any other color, let us say you want to make it as green, just make the change, save it, reload. Now it is changed to green. So any changes you want to do, you can do the inline. So you will say style is equal to, and inside the two double quotes, you will specify the declaration. That is, declaration is nothing but a specific property colon value followed by the ends with a semicolon. Now this is a blue heading, color is blue, and this is a paragraph, style is equal to color colon red ends with a semicolon. So this paragraph, whatever the content we have here, it will be displayed with the red color. So that is how we can use the inline styling. So whichever the HTML element you have, you can specify the style there itself. However, for seeing the immediate changes, this is a good idea to implement there itself. Let us say you want to see by setting certain property how it will be displayed. To see the immediate results, you can use this particular style, but it is not recommended to use in the actual web application that will go into the production. The reason being, it will create a lot of maintenance headache, right? Tomorrow if something has to be changed, you have to go through the each of the HTML element, and you have to change the style, and how each of the style based on different levels. So we can have an external file, we can have a style in the head section, or we can have a style in the inline section. So depending upon how many places you have used, there might be confusion, and you might not know which level should be changed. So that will causes a lot of maintenance headache. It is better to use whenever you are trying to test certain style. Okay, to see the immediate results, you can test it out. Once you are comfortable with whatever the style you want to use, you put that style either in the head section, or even better is put it in the external file. Next one is the embedded style. In case of a embedded style, the complete styling will go inside the head section of the HTML document. You can see this is the head section, beginning of the head section, and this is the end of the head section. And there are certain other things that are available in the head section. For example, we have the meta information. If you want to include, title is there. Okay, this is the closing of the title. How you specify the style is a using the tag like this. Okay, within the angle bracket you will have the style, that is the opening style tag, and within the angle bracket forward slash style, that is the closing style HTML tag. Inside these style tags you will include all the rules. For example, here we have h1, means h1 HTML element will follow this. What is the h1 style? Font hyphen size is equal to not is equal to colon 24 pt semicolon. You are saying h1 will have a font size of 24 point. This is for h2, it starts here and it ends here. Font hyphen size is 18 pt. So h1 you are having 24 pt, and h2 you are having 18 point. Then find font hyphen weight bold, you are specifying that to be bold. That is the end of the style. This is how you can use the embedded style sheet inside the head section. Let us see a code. This is external. Let me figure it out. All right, embedded. Let me open the source code. This is the HTML document. Now I will open that in the browser. So already we have the location. I will just say back, and its name is embedded. So you can see embed underscore CSS ex1. The same thing whatever we did earlier with the inline, okay, whatever we did with the inline, that is being achieved with the embedded style sheet. Now in case of a embedded style sheet, this is the head section we have, this is the end of the head section, and this is the actual document. Here is the, we have all the HTML elements in the head section. So this is this property is set as language is equal to en. So that is an additional thing. If you want, you can specify. Then we have meta character set ut of 8, title share your travels New York Central Park. That will be shown here. Share your travels New York Central Park. Then after that, this is the specification of the style, beginning of the style and end of the style. And I have used the same h1, h2, and I have also included paragraph color is green. Okay, this is how this is the style, and the HTML documents, it will start rendering from here. First one, h1 share your travels. H1 there is a specification, it will provide this font size and color. Just I have included color so that you will see the effect. Okay, just I will make this as, let us say, purple. I saved it. I will reload. You can see the color of the h1 changed. So this h1 is this, h2 description. For h2 it will take this font size 34. You can make out this size is bigger than this. Okay, just visually something is getting implemented. In order for you to see that, I have used like this. Okay, then font weight bold, color is red, this one is red. Then after that we have one more h2 review. So this h2 and this h2 would be exactly the same. It will be taking the style from here, h2. Then again I have a h1. H1 is 24 pt and color purple. You can see this color automatically changed when I made one change. Suppose let's say this is h1 and this is h1. I just made a change at one place. From here purple, I will select let's say not red, let us say pink. Okay, when I reload this page, you can see this color and this color will change immediately. See, you can see the changes is applied. So this is the advantage. Suppose if you use the inline, what happens is when you are using inline, you are specifying style here as well as here. And if you want to make the changes to all the headers, then you have to make changes here as well as here. Just imagine the application, web application that are in production. There will be thousands of pages, not thousands, hundreds of pages will be there. It depends on what is the size of the web application. In hundreds of pages, there are thousands of HTML elements. If you have to change for each and individual, you can think about the maintenance headache. If you have a style at a head section, it is relatively easy. If you have the style at external as an external file, that would be very, very simple. So this is how we can use the embedded styles. While better than inline styles, using embedded styles is also by and large discouraged. Since each HTML document has its own style element, it is more difficult to consistently style multiple documents when using the embedded styles. So even though it is better than inline, and one example, we just changed the h1 at one place in the document, wherever there is a h1, everywhere it changed automatically. But in actual web applications, we will not be having just one or two web pages. There will be multiple pages. If we had to include the style in head section, every page will be having style in its head section. So that would be if there is any maintenance work to be done, it would be done on every page of the web application. So that is also not a good idea. External style sheet. So in this case, what we are going to do is we are going to write all the styling rules in a separate file. In this particular case, the name is given as styles.css. This is the name of the CSS file. Styles.css extension should be always .css. And what we are doing in case of an external style sheet is, in our HTML document, just we will provide a link to that particular CSS file. So how to do that? Open angle bracket, link space rel is equal to, inside the double quote we will say it's a style sheet, then space we will set the href. Okay, href we will give the location of the file. In this case we are giving styles.css. That means wherever the HTML document is present, in the same folder styles.css is present. And if you are keeping that particular file in separate folder, either you can choose to give a absolute location of that file, or you can use the relative location. Always it is better to use the relative location. I will show you the example. Let me close all the HTML that are open. Okay. Then we have, this is the code, external underscore CSS. Open with Notepad. Okay. So I have taken a different example here. Means same example, whatever we are doing, and different style name is used. Okay, the file name is different. Rest of the things are same. Link rel is equal to, inside double quotes, style sheet. href is equal to dot dot. So you already know what dot dot means. Whenever you want to go to the upper, so the parent level folder, you will say dot dot, and then forward slash css, means you are going one level up and you are saying it is in dot css forward slash, and this is the name of the css file, that is my styles dot css. So let me first check, do we have the css folder? Okay, now there is no css folder here. Okay, it will not be here. You have to go to the parent, that is code. So css, we have the css folder and my styles.css. Let me open that also. Okay, see, now we have two documents. One is my HTML. This is the, I hope it is visible to everybody. I will put both the files here. Now this is my HTML document, and inside the HTML document I have specified the link to the external CSS file using the link. Then where the file is present, it is present at one level above the folder where HTML is there, and there is a folder called as CSS, and inside that we have my styles.css, and this is the name, my styles.css. And here I have specified all the rules. You can see h1 font size 24, color blue; h2 font size 34 pt, font weight bold, color red, and for paragraph green. So now everything is ready. Now I will load this particular HTML. Now you can see external CSS ex1 example. So it is exactly the same. There is no difference at all from inline, embedded, and external. We got the exact same looks and feel. There is no difference at all. So it is by keeping the style separate in a separate CSS file. There is no difference in how the styling is done. So only locations are different, but each of these has a some advantage and a disadvantage, and the most preferred way to do is using a external file. So just for your sake, I will just show some changes. Okay, instead of blue we will make purple. Where I am making the changes, I am making the changes in the my styles.css file. So I will make it as purple, and I will reload this page. So you can see the changes took effect. Now, let us say for some reason your CSS file is not accessible. Means you have given some incorrect name. Let us say you given the incorrect name or the folder name is incorrect. Somehow browser is not able to find this file. I will say css1. So I don't have a css1 folder. See here, there is no css1 folder. I will save this. I said there is a css1 folder and there is a this particular file. So what do you think? What will happen? Anybody? Prajit, what do you think will happen now? The location is incorrect. In my HTML document, the location is incorrect. What should happen or what you think will happen?
It will show HTML documents. CSS will not implement.
CSS will not in, that is very correct answer. What it will do is whatever is the browser default. Okay, browser has its own default, isn't it? Right? Every browser has a default styling for each of this. So browser has a default styling for H1, H2 and P. Those default will be shown. Clear? So that is what will happen. No error or nothing. Whenever suppose you are working on a web application, you are not able to see your style on the HTML. That means it is not able to get that particular file. Either file name is incorrect or the location that you have specified is incorrect. So I will just give the correct location and reload the page. Very good. All right. Now, this is by far the most common place to locate the style rules because it provides the best maintainability. When you make a change to an external style sheet, all HTML documents that reference that style sheet will automatically use the updated version. In this particular example, I have used only one HTML page. Okay, inside this HTML page, I have linked to this CSS. Let us say your web application has 100 HTML documents. In those 100 documents, you are using this style. Then once you make a change in the this particular external file, that is the CSS file, if you make any change here, that effect will be taken place in all the HTML document. So that is how it becomes very easy. And one more thing is, when you are creating a CSS file similar to HTML document, you have to remember that you can, using a notepad, you can create it. Let us say I will say new text document. Okay, so when you say text document, either you can do like that. Some browsers, what some operating system, what happens if you do like that, you will rename here, but still it will be showing as a text document. So what we will do is I will open the notepad and I will select this location. So when you say save as, okay, choose that location. Okay, now by default, if you give any name, so here I would say my css1 dot css, you will normally you will do like that. If the save as type is text document, what will happen is my css1 dot css dot text file will be stored. So just for your understanding, I will save this. I will, if you choose like this, you just say save. Now what happens is, if you see here, okay, so here my css1.css, in this particular version, it is storing it as a .css without any problem. But if it is a older version of the Windows or anything, you will see this my css1.css.txt. You have to see the type here. So here it should be saying the cascading style sheet document. So if you are not seeing that here, then your HTML document, even though you are giving the link, it will not take the all the that particular file will not be read, and it will be shown as a default value. So you have to make sure that. So when you are saving, the best practice is, when you are saving, say save as, give some name, okay, dot css, and change this to all types. Okay, it will 100% it will show the it will be having the extension of .css. That one care you have to take. Okay, the browser is able to cache the external style sheet, which can improve the performance of the site. So whichever the style you have, that style will be cached in the browser. So caching is whatever the changes are there, it will store it in the cache instead of getting it from the disk. So if that style is stored in the particular cache, then it will be the faster. Whatever is rendered on the your browser, it would be faster than getting it from the actual disk storage. Selectors. Okay, what are selectors? In defining CSS rules, we have the selector. First thing we choose is the selector. So far we have saw the selector as a HTML1. All the examples showed selector as a one HTML element. We saw for the H1, we saw for the H2 and the paragraph. When defining CSS rule, you will need to first use the selector to tell the browser which elements will be affected. So that is the first, in case of a CSS rule, the first thing is the selector. The CSS selectors allow you to select individual elements. That is, just you can use H1, H2, or a paragraph or a image, whichever you want to use. You can just use the individual element, or you can use the multiple HTML elements. In case of a multiple HTML element, you will be specifying them by separating using the comma. Suppose you want to say like all my irrespective all my HTML elements should be shown in particular color. Then you can have, let's say, H1 comma H2 comma P comma IMG, whatever the HTML elements you have them comma separated, put it in the selector place, and then open curly brace, provide color colon whichever color you want, semicolon, and close the bracket. So that style, that color will be applied to all the HTML elements which are in the selector. Element that belong together in some way, or elements that are positioned in specific ways in the document hierarchy. So this we will see elements that belong together in some way. For that also we can have, or if there is any kind of a hierarchy, because of their position, then also we can apply those rules. These two will be more understandable when we see the example. There are a number of different type of selectors. Uses the HTML element name. So first one is the element selectors. In case of a element selector, as the name suggests, it will use the HTML element name only. So what are the HTML elements that we can use? Whatever is specified in the HTML file, all the HTML element can be used as a element selector. And you can select elements by using the universal element selector, which is the asterisk character. Asterisk is the universal element selector, means if you use the asterisk, it will select all the elements, whichever the elements that are present in the HTML elements that are present in your HTML document. It will select all of them, and whatever the rules, styling rules you specify, it will be applied to all the HTML elements. This is the CSS rule which we have already seen, and this is the one example for the element selector. Next one is the group selector. So first one is the element selector, where you will use only one HTML element and you will specify the rule. Next one is the group selector, where we can use multiple HTML elements. Here you can see the example: p comma div comma aside. These are the three HTML elements, and we are specifying this rule for that. Margin for paragraph, div, and aside would be 0, padding would be 0. Okay, and what this is equivalent to this. You can see if you have rules like this, right? For p you have two rules, for div you have two rules, for aside you have two rules. This is exactly same as what you have done in just one rule, that is p comma div comma aside. You can select a group of elements by separating the different element names with commas. This is a sensible way to reduce the size and complexity of your CSS file by combining multiple identical rules into a single rule. So when you can use this, suppose you have some identical rules you want to set for the HTML elements. Those rules can be pushed into this grouped selectors. Reset. Okay. One good advantage of using grouped selectors is for doing some kind of a reset. As I told you, when a particular HTML, when we loaded the HTML page which has a link to the external CSS file, when it did not find the external CSS file, what it did, actually it showed whatever the browser defaults are there. Suppose if you want to reset, suppose you don't want any kind of a browser default styles, then what you will do, you can use it as a reset. In the reset, what you will do is whatever you want to have, that all the style you will specify here. For example, here you can see HTML comma body comma div comma span h1 h2 h3 h6 paragraph, everything we are setting. Margin as 0, padding as 0, border 0, and font size is 100%. 100% mean same as its parent. It is a relative unit. Then vertical alignment baseline. So this is what you are going to do whenever the browser loads the CSS. The first time it will reset all the browser setting. Group selectors are often used as a way to quickly reset or remove browser defaults. The goal of doing so is to reduce browser inconsistencies with things such as margins, line heights, and font sizes. The reason behind doing this is browser inconsistencies. Means what? The way your HTML displayed in one browser could be different in another browser. Okay. In order to have the consistency in display of your web application, what you will do is you will just reset the some of the properties where there might be difference in the browsers. These resets styles can be placed in their own CSS file. Okay, you can have a separate file called reset.css, and you can link that particular CSS particular CSS file in the your HTML. Okay, and that will be loaded, and that will be executed at the when the page is rendered. That is how the browser settings will get reset. Next is a class selector. So this is the third type of a selector. First one is the element selector, and second one is a group selector. Third one is a class selector. And what is a class selector? Class selector allows you to simultaneously target different HTML elements regardless of their position in the document 3. Suppose you have you want to target your style to number of HTML elements irrespective of their position where they are located. Okay, that time you can use the a class selector. If a series of HTML elements have been labeled with the same class attribute value, then you can target them for styling using the class selector, which takes a form period followed by the class name. How we specify the class name, we will see with the example, then you will understand what has been written here. I will directly go to the example. You can see this is a one HTML document. We have head, and this is the body section. Inside the head section, I have the title, then I have the opening style tag, closing style tag. Inside that I have a class selector. This is called as a class selector. Normal element selector, what we do, we specify a HTML element, then open curly brace, closing curly brace. Inside that we specify the all the rules. Here, when you are doing a class selector, you will first put a dot or a period symbol, dot, and you will specify any name. Now the name given here is the first, that is the class name. Dot first, open bracket, font style italic, and color it is brown. and closing of this style. Now, wherever we use this class for the HTML element, that style, this particular style, that is font style, italic and color brown, will be applied to all those HTML elements where class is specified as first. Okay, then this is the closing of the head section, opening of the body. Okay, this is the body section. Inside the body I have h1, and you can see here class is specified. h1 class is equal to, inside double quotes, first, and the closing angle bracket. Then we have a text review. This text reviews will be displayed in italic and in brown color, so you can see it here. Next, div. Inside the div, this is the opening of the div, closing of the div. You have a paragraph p, class is equal to first. For this paragraph also we have specified the class as first. So even this paragraph, whatever comes inside this paragraph, everything will be displayed in italic and it will be in brown in color. So you can see it here. I will show the code example. For now you can just see it here. Once we go through this complete, then I will show you the code example. Then this particular paragraph, okay, p, we did not specify the class as first, so this will go with the browser default. Whatever is the browser default for the appearance of the paragraph, it will take that browser default. Easy on hdr buddy. So you can see this is the that text displayed. And after that we have it should be br break. Okay, break will create one line. Then we have div, another div. Then we have another paragraph which is having a classes first. Even this paragraph will be shown with the italic as well as a brown color. Then one more paragraph with the default browser presentation. Then we have again a div, closing of the div, and we have the line and close of the body. This is how it will be displayed. Let me show you the code for this. Okay, you can see here a class selector. I will load the page. This is class selector. You can see class selector. The same example has been taken. You can see we have specified the doc type. This is the head section. Inside the head I have a title, your travels. So you can see share your travels, that is the title. And inside that I have specified the opening style, closing style, and this is the class selector. Class selector begins with dot first, and inside the curly braces I have the styling rules: font style, italic, color, brown. Then I have the body. Inside the body I have h1 class is equal to first, then review, then paragraph, class is first. This is a default paragraph, and one more division. So HR will provide a line. Okay, it will provide a line. Then paragraph, class is equal to first, and some content is there. That content will be displayed. So if you start here, h1 reviews, you can see this is following this rule, that is italic and it is brown. And this particular paragraph, by Ricardo on, sometime date is there, by Ricardo on September, that is displayed in using this class selector. That's then next, easy on HDR buddy, easy on HDR. This is the default presentation for the paragraph that is given by the browser. And this HR, this will provide a line here. Then div, this class by Susan on October 1, 2002. By Susan on October 1, it follows this class selector, italic and brown. Then after that, this is a paragraph. I love Central Park. I love Central Park. This is by browser default presentation. Next one is the ID selector. We will look into that in the next class.